Hello folks, 2021, we made it into the new year and a new growing year. So first of all, Happy New Year to you all. If you saw my last video, you will see that we're going to be sowing onions and peppers quite soon. But first of all, I want to get this single Vitipod out to the greenhouse, get it into the house and give it a good clean. After taking the snow covered nets off, there was a few casualties. The legs got flattened, but they might pop up, I don't know. Looking in this bed here, the cabbages, they seem okay. But my worst concern was the garlic. I didn't want to destroy that, and thankfully I'm still going. Still got one or two stalks of sprouts left along here. And say last night we had another little flurry of snow, so we've still got a fair bit lying around on the side. Just going to lift Celeriac. We've only got 3 left. Scent off that's fantastic. Now we've had a bit of snow and frost. Ideal time to get the parsnips. If you've got the forethought and snow is forecast, it pays you to dig these out, probably put them in storage, 1 or 2, so you haven't got to disturb it. The frozen ground. Oh, fortunately, it's not too bad around here. That's 2 nice ones for the pot. I'm just emptying a bucket out of the Sarpo Miras. It's been kept under this plastic cover there in the snow and the frost, and surprisingly the compost's not frozen at all. Just amazing what a bit of plastic has done for protection. Oh, missed. Some of these you can feel them down the edge of the bucket where the tubers press out the walls. I think there's 2 tubers in these buckets. These are 30 litre. The thing I like about these buckets is ease of harvesting. I don't know if you can see in there, not one's damaged and still a decent size. Hello folks, and welcome back to the channel. You join me in the allotment greenhouse today. Normally I'd be in the greenhouse in the garden, but having a bit of tidy up, the little Vitipod I've taken out, took that in the house, give that a clean, ready to receive this. So what we're doing, we're going to be sowing some seeds. I'm going to be sowing some onions. I've got some Mammoth improved there, and also the Mammoth red. These ones come in a little plastic tube called a file, and I've been using these for quite a while now. This is the date mark, this is for 2021. And the other one I'll be growing is my favourite banana shallot, and that's the Zabroon. And at the same time I'll be sowing a couple of peppers. There's the California Wonder and there's one called Romano Mixed. I've got the compost here. This is a bit of stuff I've saved from my worm compost, and I've sieved it. It does take a long while to dry out. I probably took this out about September, and I've put it in trays. I've added a bit of sand, well, quite a lot of sand, and also some perlite, but I think I'm going to add some vermiculite as well. because I prefer vermiculite over perlite for some reason, I don't know why. I'm just going to mix that in, and that there is ready now for sowing. Now normally I'd sow in a quarter tray like this, but I was watching a video recently, and it was of Steve from Digwell Green Fingers, and he's using these the AGRALAN plant plug trainers, they're called. This is a grey one, which is the Mark 1 version. The new one's now a green, which is I think the more stabilised for UV or something like that. I've actually done a video review of these. I don't think I've uploaded it. I will do soon anyway. So first of all, we'll give these a filling of compost. I like to give it a little tap just to settle it down, and try and scrape the compost so it's just level, so you can just see the planting stations. Use a card to do that, scrape it out. And once that's somewhere near, we just use the upturned lid to put in our seed sowing stations. A good press down. And you can see from there, it's nice little dimples in there, and the seeds will go central. One of the many things I enjoy about uploading video to YouTube is reading all of your comments. On some videos I can reach well over 50, and I like to see where you're coming from, which part of the world you are, what you're up to, and quite a lot of times people ask questions about something that I probably haven't explained too well in the video, or maybe a product that I'm using. So part of the new thing for this year, I'm going to be picking a couple of questions when relevant and putting them on the screen with the viewer's name and sharing them with the rest of you, and hopefully some other people then can benefit from the question they've asked. So the first one I'm going to look at is from Chris Evans. Hello Chris. And he says, "Hi mate, could I ask where you got your EnviroMesh from and the price?" Well, all my netting I get from a place called Easy Nets. I've got two basic types used on the allotment. The first one is used on the brassica cage, which is a fairly big mesh but very, very strong. And the second one is what I cover the allium bed with, and that's the insect mesh type, commonly known as EnviroMesh, is a brand name. Unfortunately, I've taken the nets out now because of the snow, but I'll put some little clips in so you can see the types that I'm on about. Now, the EnviroMesh, which Chris asks out in particular, is what I call, it's the ultra fine insect mesh, and that's from Easy Nets. It's got a 0.6 millimeter mesh size, which is, it's finer than the standard EnviroMesh. It weighs 72 grams for a square meter, and it lets 90% of light through. The rolls come in 2.2 meters wide, and you can buy it by the meter. So what I did with my bed, because it's wider than 2.2, I actually get a long length, cut it in half and get the length sewn. So it was 4.4 wide now, mine is, and it runs the length of the bed. If you look on the website, I have a word with a chap named Keith Morgan. I'll put his phone number on. I met Keith at the shows many, many times and got to know him. And because he's a one-man band now, it's the prices that these shows do house to stall is ridiculous. So unfortunately, he tends not to do many. In fact, he might just be mail order. But if you give him a call, do your inquiry, it may say out of stock online, but I don't think his website is always kept strictly up to date. So give him a call, and if you mention my name, he might give you a bit of discount. So that's Keith at Easy Nets. Another question I've got here comes from Terry King. And Terry asks, where do I get my lamp pins from? Now, lamp pins, if you don't know, they're known as different names. They call them line pins, fence pins, whatever. it's this sort of thing, and it's the thing stick in the ground and you can hook nets on, put poles through for a support. These ones here, I got these off Amazon, and they're about 8mm. They do the job, but they're under anything under pressure and they'll bend easy, and also they're a bit wobbly in the ground. But fortunately for me, I've got a company 4 or 5 miles away called Black Country Pins. I'm in a place called, just outside a town called Bilston, Cosley it is, and they do this sort of thing. Now if you look, you see that is much sturdier. They do these in a range of bar thicknesses, and I just check on my sheet here, they got quite a lot. Fortunately for me, I can visit the factory and pick them up, so there's no carriage cost, but obviously that's something you need to bear in mind. The thicker the metal, the more weight is, and obviously that'll be reflected in the price and also where in the country you're located from. But these fence pins, or line pins as I call them, they do them in 12mm, 16, 18, 20, 22 and 25mm diameter, and the range in length from 450mm up to 1.2 and in some cases 1.5. And I find these very good. So fortunately I live close enough nearby to actually go in the car and pick them up, so there's no carriage involved for me. We do a thing as well called a marquee pin, which is exactly the same thing, but it's got no hook on the top. The bottom still has a spike, which makes it easier to go into the ground, and I use these for supports when I tie my sprouts in, put this stake in, tie them in, no rotting, anything. But the other thing I use them for, you look, there's a bolt welded on the end. That's a quarter, is it 24 or something? It's the tripod thread anyway, and that goes easy into the ground, and I can screw the ball and socket head on there and the cameras fit on. I've mentioned it before in another video, but I've got these in 2 or 3 lengths, so it saves putting a tripod on and getting all rubbish in the legs and that, and you can just, I mean, sometimes I'll leave these out, it doesn't really matter. I do put my trademark yellow on because otherwise I'll get that lost in the fowler GC, and this is a way of seeing it. So that's the couple of questions for this episode. Let's get back in the greenhouse. So that's the effect of having the lid pressed in. Leave some lovely sowing depressions right in the centre of the modules. These are about 10mm deep, which is ideal for what the onions want. Now before we start sowing, the one thing I like to do is just to give the light mist in to make sure that the seed is in contact with some damp compost. These are the Robinson Mammoth, and I'll be putting 1 seed into each module. The idea behind this is that when it comes to potting on, you've got less disturbance to the roots. There's other ways of actually doing sowings, and you can use a seed sower on the plastic ones, but I prefer to use this seed label here. It can guide the seeds more easily for me. And I'm just going to sow 3 rows. That's the 21 onions. I'll probably only use about a dozen of these. And one final thing to finish off, I like to just cover the holes with vermiculite. For me, I like this because it retains moisture around the seed while it's germinating. And so if you're doing this in the greenhouse, it's well worth bringing the compost in a few days before, just to get it up to temperature. But for me, I'm fortunate that these will be going into the house, into a controlled environment really, into the Vitipod. And these will be going into about anything 12-15 degrees. And I expect to see something showing around about 2 weeks. With the vermiculite on top, I have given them a light misting. But also, first off, I'll give these a good soaking from the bottom. Make sure the compost's wet. Leave them in there for 2 or 3 minutes, and then drain them off. Then they'll go into the propagator. Around about 15 degrees, I think. And as I say, 2 weeks' time, we should see something. In the meantime, I'll carry on sowing some more. Well, that's 3 trays done. Still plenty more to sow. I'm going to pop these in the house, put them into the propagator, carry on sowing. I'll bring you up to date in the next one. So until then, I'll see you later. Bye for now.